What up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. Since now the Oscars of the 2025 has now ended, so I'm going to give you another third movie review roundup for 2024 movies, and this will be the Best Picture nominees. I've already reviewed a lot of these Best Picture nominees a while ago, but these are the several movies that I've seen recently that I would try to catch up on. The only one movie that I haven't seen is I'm Still Here because it's not available on digital and it's not playing near my theaters. So I'm gonna have to review some of the remaining films. So I'm gonna give only three so far. So first up will be the movie called The Brutalist. A lot of movie that a lot of people like hype this movie up a lot, saying that it's incredible, that it's a Best Picture nominees. And after watching that film, I can understand why. This movie is taking place during the post World War II era, where a visionary architect, played by Adrian Brody, who has escaped through the post war, and he's a Holocaust survivor, and he's trying to rebuild his life through his work and his marriage that he's separated from his wife during war times. And he comes across with an industrialist played by Guy Pearce to hire him to build his monument to help build and rebuild America. So yeah, this movie is much better than I thought it would be. And this movie's 3.5 hours long. And I didn't get a chance to see this in an IMAX. So I bought this on digital for $20. And I've heard that during the 3.5 hour movie, it's very long. And I've heard that they split this in a two-parter movie. And once you get through the first half of the film, they have a 15-minute intermission. And yeah, I wish I had that experience just so I can know what it's like to have a 15-minute break when you're watching a very long film, especially a movie like The Brutalist. And this movie is supposed to be under like $10 million budget. And watching this film didn't look like it at all. It looked like it was an expensive movie to make, especially when you're shooting in a real location and having buildings and being transported back into the 40s during the post-World War II era. Andrew Brody put on the heart and soul in that performance. Felicity Jones, who's playing Andrew Brody's wife, doesn't show up until part two of the film, which is an hour and 40 minutes. So yeah, I mean, I wish they would have done it a little bit sooner, but when she shows up on screen, she completely crushes it. The things that have been reports going around that was very controversy was the AI generated, especially with the buildings that you see in the films, which I don't know how much that was used in AI was in the film during post production, or was it before they start filming with the concept art? I don't know. The reports have not been very clear, but the one thing that got a lot of people upset was when they enhanced the accent, the Hungarian accent for Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones for the dialogue. And people were upset that it doesn't count, that it's taken away his performance, which I highly disagree. When I watched this film, I barely noticed it. It felt like I'm hearing Adrian Brody's voice and even Felicity Jones. The AI generated that they've used was just enhancing the accent to make it more authentic, and that's about it. It's just for a brief. It All of that performance was done by Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones, and Andrew Brody just won an Oscar for Best Actor and put out a heart and soul into his acceptance speech. The film earned 9 Academy Award nominations, and it won three for Best Actor for Adrian Brody, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Score. That's a big win. I thought that The Brutalist was going to be their night because the director who directed this film was nominated for Best Director, and I assumed that that's what he was going to win, but Honora took that night, and Andrew Brody put on a heart and soul in the performance, and now he's a two-time Academy Award winner. He's incredible in the film. I mean, the AI generated is not going to bother me as much because it's only for a brief moment that they've used it in post, so it's not that big of a deal because it's still all of his performance, including Felicity Jones and Guy Pearce, who's playing the rich and powerful industrialist, who's the one who hired Andrew Brody for the job to build his monument for over like a decade or two, and it took a lot of setbacks and delays, and it hit rock bottom from time to time. And Guy Pearce's performance is the best performance he's given since his last film that he did like over 20 years ago, which is Christopher Nolan's movie Memento. And I haven't seen him act in a while, and he got a nomination for Best Supporting Role. He didn't win, but I thought he did a great job with that role. And he plays off of some kind of a character that he wants to come in and be his friend and help out him and his wife and his niece to help live the life. He's just using him. He doesn't really give a shit about him as you get through the second half of the film. I thought the second half of the film to me kind of felt a little bit of rock bottom towards the end, and the epilogue to me, I didn't feel like it was quite needed. the aspect of the film was just about this visionary architecture, was about giving his a little bit of vision of what he want that monument to be. And it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. But I will say the music score was great. It was well directed. Performances was top notch. It was beautiful. And I'm glad that they shot this on film with 35 millimeter, including 70 millimeter. And I wished I would have seen this in theaters. And it looked like it could have been made back in the 90s. It looked like it could have been made in the 80s and 90s. The way that they filmed it, it felt so authentic and I felt transported. I will say that this is definitely one of the good films. It's not one of my favorite films of 2024, but I'm going to give this rating for The Brutalist a 8 out of 10. It's a really good movie. I encourage you to check that out when you get a chance. It's available on VOD. All right, with that down out of the way, the next movie that I will give you my review on, it is the movie Conclave. It's taking place in a modern day time, and it's telling a story about Cardinal Lawrence, played by Ray Fiennes, who is tasked to find a new pope, a new selected pope for a candidate for the Cardinals, since their recent pope had passed away. But then he is tasked to uncover the secrecy, the conspiracy that goes on in the Roman Catholic Church, how it will impact the foundation of the Catholic Church. Yeah, this movie was a movie that got a lot of hyped before the Oscars, saying that it could potentially get an Oscar nomination, and it received for an 8 nomination for the Oscars. It only won for Best Adapted Screenplay, and it did get nominated for Best Picture. I think it was just really one of the better films that came out in 2024. I'm not going to say that this is a movie that's going to drastically change my life, but I was so well invested into the story, the performances with Ray Fiennes. I mean, it's Ray Fiennes. He's a veteran actor that has got crazy Oscar nominations, but he did not win once. He still has not won. He got nominated, but his award got taken from Adrien Brody, which, don't get me wrong, Adrien Brody deserved that award and he was great, but it would have been great that if he had won and take that trophy, because he's done in this for a very long time and he was one of the best actors who has ever put on screen, and he can act in anything. You had Jonathan Lithgow, who's playing the supporting role, Stanley Tucci, who's the one that stole the spotlight, and I love how they make us invested in this whole candidate of choosing who's going to be the next pope, because once they take over, they got full power and control, and they had to be very cautious of who they pick, which candidate they had to pick to vote for that for the next pope, because they will have that high power, and they make us feel invested as they're getting into the votes, and how they built those sets for the Roman Catholic Church was great. The location was amazing. The costume designs was beautiful. Like I said before, the performances were absolutely outstanding. They could do no wrong. I was very mixed on the ending of how they did the plot twist of this big secret that the recent Pope had kept it on file and kept it a secret for all time, and it kept them under their microscope. But it didn't bother me. I was willing to get past it. You know what? If that's how they wanted to go, I'm fine with it. And this is supposed to be based on the book too. So yeah, I'm glad that this movie got one for a Best Adapted Screenplay, and it got a great nomination, and it got the recognition that it did. But I literally thought that Conclave was going to get a lot of wins this year because of all of the hype that it gotten. So I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10 for Conclave. I like this movie a little bit more than The Brutalist, but for different reasons. But it was still a really good, well-made movie. It does develop a little bit of a slow pace at times. And yes, this is a political thriller, but it's not a thriller that's going to add a bunch of explosions and puts you on the edge of your seat. This is more of a vocal a thriller, and it definitely dived into a lot of the great political aspects, and I thought they did a great job of it. Now, for the third movie that I will be reviewing, it is called Nickel Boys. It's following the story during the Civil Rights Act. They're in the 1960s, and it's following by these two African American teenagers, Elwood and Turner, who had developed a friendship at the academy called Nickel Academy, which is a juvenile detention center or whatever it was called, and they are now tasked to try to survive in that place because the way that they are treated because of the color of their skin, and it definitely it definitely dives in deep with the aspect of racism and social injustice, and it's definitely a true story. And the director that directed the film, this is it taking place during a POV. It's focusing on two characters' a perspective, and the whole movie was shot in a POV. And this is the kind of type of style of filmmaking and storytelling that I've never seen before. They really want us to feel like we're with them in the moment when they were at the Nickel Academy, and how much they were brutally treated, especially the rest of the African American teens that were brutally treated in that hellhole. And the only way that they could be able to get some dirt on them and get the truth out is to escape, because they cannot get the truth out from the inside, because it's going to be very difficult. One of the people that tries to escape, they get killed and buried, and they swept it under the rug. And the way that they shot in the present day time, they shoot it in the character's back of the head, from their point of view. And I thought that they were going to do a POV thing that they did in when we flash it back to the past. But I thought that the friendship with Turner and Elwood was great. The performances was absolutely outstanding. Sure, they dive in a little bit of too much on the montage of video stock footage from real time that I felt like it didn't really need to be there. I kind of get the point, and I wish they would have trimmed that out. But when they showed you some of the shit that they did to these kids was so very difficult and very hard to watch. I could definitely see why this film is being nominated, that got nominated for Best Picture. And yeah, this is a story that it really needed to be told and heard of what happened during that time, and how much they were exposed, and some of the people that worked there came forward. And I love the way they told the story. So yeah, this is definitely one of the best films that came out in 2024. I'm not going to say I like this as much as The Brutalist or Conclave, but it's a really a good film that I encourage you to check out. It's available to stream on MGM Plus, and the cast is the cast members of the younger characters. These are the actors that I've never heard of. I've never seen their work before, but they definitely got talent. And the way that they shoot, their artistic visual style of the POV was definitely challenging. And this is in a 4:3 aspect ratio. Try to be a little bit more old school, even though that this film was shot digitally. I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. This is a really damn good film that I highly recommend you should check out. And look, there are still a few things in the movies that I got a little bit bothered, especially with the visual montages that got a little bit artsy fartsy that almost lost me. And I wish they would have trimmed those things out that we didn't really need to have. And it got a little confusing of where we're at with some of the two characters with Elwood and Turner. But yeah, I was definitely invested with the friendship, and it was a really good film that I encourage you to check out. So, have you seen these three movies with Conclave, The Brutalist, and Nickel Boys? What did you think? Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. And do you think that one of them should have won Best Picture? Let me know. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And my goal is to reach 500 subscribers. I would really appreciate it if you guys do. And turn on the bell notifications so you know when my videos come up. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. I will do another video for the movie roundup for 2024 for a part 2 of the Oscar nominees for Best Picture, and including Best Animated Feature Film that I will catch up on, because there's still 2 more animated films that I want to watch the rest and give you my full thoughts on it. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more of my content.